And good morning, guys. Boy, you guys are really chatty today, all right? Figures, all right? We get, of course, our first snow talk of the season. Look at that. Shiny graphic. Actually, the same one from last year. Just looks nice and fresh, right? I hope you guys are doing well. I am wave meteorologist Brian Good. Welcome to a special edition of Snow Talk. I say special because it will not officially kick off until really on the 1st coming up. That's when it'll be a daily update you'll be seeing here on the blog. But today, obviously, with the change coming our way for Halloween, a lot of talk is about snow. Flurries is what we're talking about here, guys. So make sure I'm clear right out of the gate that if you're expecting me to say this is going to be an accumulating snow, I'm not going to be saying that. But flurries, yes. And I don't think that's the bigger story that we will likely see out of this setup and change in the next 24 hours. But it will certainly get your attention that things have changed for us for the season here in a big way after a relatively mild setup the past few weeks and some cool weather. Nice fall overall, really. A bit dry, but past 2 days has been all about the rainy weather, which we'll cover that as well. But obviously, the change tomorrow is one of the bigger headlines, and then we'll get into a bit of the longer term coming up in just a few minutes. As always, you guys can comment. I think you guys have figured it out on social media, whether it's Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, as well as even Twitch. If you want to comment, you can. Some of your comments I've already seen. Yes, there's a lot of talk. There's no need to go get milk and bread, although I did have to do that yesterday. I didn't see a panic. There's plenty of milk. So there's no problem there. Karen, yes, I did enjoy the sphere. I'll have more to say maybe on another time when we don't have some active weather. But I went to what they call TwitchCon into Las Vegas, and that was a lot of fun. Met some incredible people out there and a lot about how things are changing. If you guys don't know what Twitch is, it's not probably the same gaming site that you guys are thinking of. It's a lot different now, and we'll be talking more about it in the coming days and weeks here locally. But the sphere, man, it was breathtaking. It's something like the Grand Canyon. You just got to see in person. The seats are very, very steep. I will say that. Very similar to the KFC Yum Center where you feel like you're going to just tumble down. So get used to that. But the seats all shake and everything as you watch the film. But it is very visually stimulating and overwhelming, too, at the same time. So I highly recommend it if you have a chance to go to Vegas to check out the sphere. It's something now that you can see. Everyone sees the outer image a lot, but there's a lot on the inside of it. But you can see the image, of course, on the outer side from space, which is pretty cool. All right, enough about that. let's get into where on SnowTALK. Of course, I'm not doing a snowboard for this setup today because it's not officially the blog update for SnowTALK. So we'll skip that for now. But it's important to note that tomorrow night is the night for the winter forecast. And yeah, everyone's been ready for that. There's still a little bit of tweaking here and there I'm working on, but overall, I like the look of it and the theme of it, but it is a complex setup. But I do think there will be a theme that we will see out of this winter season. That will be some good and some bad, as always the case around our area. But if you're thinking it's going to be a winter that has been similar to the past couple, you're likely to be wrong on that, because it is there's a lot more of a factor of different influences this time around that I think are starting to stand out. Again, that's tomorrow night. It will hit the Wave weather app on your phone first. I don't always reveal the time when that will be. It's different every year. Pretty close, though, to what it typically is. But I do change it up. But once it hits, you will be the first to see it. It will then hit social media. If you want to wait and you don't have the app or phone or anything like that or anything to watch it on, it will hit a visual on social media and on our website a bit later into the evening. But it'll be the app first. So if you want to know, boom, there you go. Let's enjoy it and see what happens there, right? Today, though, it looks like it wants to snow, kind of. I mean, it's just kind of that gloomy, chilly setup today. Most of the steadier rain has eased off, so now we're dealing with just a drizzly type scenario, and that should hold really throughout much of the afternoon. Very, very light, but the heavier, steadier rain, that part has already shifted to the east. Our temperature is being held down because of the clouds and the rain, as you would expect. 40s today, not much movement in the thermometer is expected. Now, the steadier rain is off the east. You see the patchy drizzle here along I-65. There's not much clearing to the west now. The hope is that we will get some clearing that will try to work its way in, but so far that hasn't been the case. Interestingly enough, look how the radar is already interpreting a little band of moisture north and west of us as snow. It's not, but the radar is interpreting that because the atmosphere is getting colder, obviously, in behind the system, leading to a chilly setup that will take place tonight, and certainly as we head into Halloween, the most dramatic one will take place. But we will be optimistic that we'll get some late day sun. If we see it later than usual, then our thermometer certainly is going to pay the price on that. But even if we were to get some late day sun, it will not cause a huge dump. Got to keep in mind, we're not in late October, so now the sun angle is much lower. Its influence, even late in the day, just isn't going to be great. It's going to have a tough time on moving the digits there on the degrees. But overall, you can see the heavier rain has now eased off. I believe I picked up, let me check. I know that several of you have been picking up over 1.5 inches, 2 inches of rain. Now, this is just since midnight at my house. I'm just under 1 inch since midnight. I think it was about 1/2 inch or so, maybe a little more before that with the previous round of rain. So, again, this may really take us out of the drought status. It certainly will take us out of moderate drought and maybe all the way out of drought. We'll know Thursday. Thursday at about 9 a.m., we will have an update on that. All right, because of this change in air mass, obviously, look at all the freeze warnings. The end of the growing season is happening, so that's good. Hopefully, got all your tropical plants inside. Everything's going to freeze up. If you want anything to try to survive, I don't think you're going to have much of a chance to get it through the winter. But again, get all your plants in. Hopefully, you've already done that, but certainly do that and before we get into these freezing conditions. But at least now you can cut back on the mowing and not have to worry about the lawnmower until sometime in March or April there. So make sure that lawnmower is in good shape, by the way, before you store it. Get all the grass off of it, get it all cleaned up, make sure that there's no old gas in it. You know how the saying goes. Okay, so here's the game plan on Futurecast. It's showing a lot of clearing. I think it's a little aggressive. But here's tomorrow. I do think we will get some sunshine tomorrow. But this vort, this clipper, if you will, that dives in across the Great Lakes has got quite the kick to it, and does have a mini front with it, which will have a narrow band of moisture and clouds. And the timing on that's going to be just before or near rush hour tomorrow. As that moves in, it will try to squeeze out what it can. In this case, especially with colder air moving in, you can get some precipitation to fall out of the clouds. If it were to start, it would likely be sprinkles, but it will get colder fast from a top-down perspective. So it won't take long for any raindrops to go over to snowflakes. And that's what will likely happen across that boundary. And then flurries, a second wave may dip across Indiana. Some of that may influence Louisville, but more than likely the I-71 corridor, Cincinnati, Indianapolis has a better chance to get some flakes to fall. as far as snowfall amounts, you got to keep in mind the boundary layer is what we call this, is the warm ground. I mean, look how the models try to interpret the freezing line. It's all over the place there. But the best chance to see any of that is going to be north of Indy because the ground is quite warm. So festive flakes, we can call them that as they move through. If the snow rate was much more intense, then yeah, I would be talking about the idea they could stick. But these are going to be light. There's not a deep enough column of moisture here to really create any major problems with that. But I do think some flakes certainly will be flying. But normally that would be the big story. I don't think it will be, as you're about to see in a second, as the front moves on by. And really cold is Wednesday morning, and then we'll start to improve after that takes place. Here is her model's idea. And I think this really displays the storyline a little better in a closer view. You've got the rain showers out there today. Boom, they move on through. There's the clearing again. It's got the idea of clearing more this evening, and that makes a little more sense. So late day sun, kind of iffy. We'll get into tonight. Certainly a cold night tonight, near the freezing mark in many spots by the time we head into early on Tuesday, but not a hard freeze scenario, just a frosty, freezy kind of ordeal. And then we get into your Tuesday, Halloween Day. And here comes that boundary. Now look at that. We haven't seen these pretty colors in a while. Pretty colors, right? They got the green, blue, and the pink showing up there. Now remember, the moisture layer relatively shallow with this, but this is a potent wave that'll be kicking in. Do you expect the temperature to drop several degrees once it moves through? I don't know where the starting point will be on the top number before we drop, but we will easily drop quickly as we head into the evening. And it's got the snow showers all across wave country, all the way down into Adair County. So it's possible. I mean, it's kind of an outliner. There's not a lot of modeling that's that far south with it, but it's much easier to get flakes to fall in this scenario than it is to get drizzle to fall based on the process. So you tend to run into a flurry kind of scenario with this. And I'm talking about the type when you look at the window and you get your snow light. I hope you get your snow light ready for the season. You look at the snow light, you see one or two flakes kind of fly by, and you're like, there's one. Oh, there's another. Oop, there's another. I mean, as a kid, I think I did nothing but stare at the window and count snowflakes in front of our security light on the garage. But when you have heavy snow and you can't keep up with it and counting it, that's the best. But when you can actually count them, it's kind of boring, right? But that's kind of the scenario we're looking at for Halloween night. Bad timing for trick-or-treaters. It really is. It's going to be a tough one, as it will be cold and windy. In fact, here's the actual modeling from the NAM model showing the temperature drop as well as the wind speeds, which I think are important to point out. First off, as we head into about 3 to 6 p.m., 9 p.m., we go into the 40s, into the lower 30s. The wind gust is going to get up there to about 20 to 30 miles per hour. That is going to send the wind chill in the blue here. Wind chills will go from around 42 down to about 23 degrees for wind chill. Not to be overnight, but for trick-or-treating, I would say wind chills will likely be around 28 degrees with a gusty wind. So it is going to be tough on the trick-or-treaters. And for those of you giving out candy, you're going to be opening that door and closing it real fast, right? So it's a bummer for those that have all these displays set up to give out candy outside, and you're hoping to do that with your neighbors. A lot of people love to do that. It will be tough. Now, the good news is for the trick-or-treaters, they're going to venture out. That means you may get a lot of candy, a lot of Twix bars, maybe in your future, because everyone's going to be fully stocked as you go on by. So there is a plus to that. So the hourly forecast as it stands now for Halloween, we'll go with 40s until the front moves in. Sprinkles going over to flurries. At some point will happen very close to 6 to 7. And then there's that steady drop that will happen in temperature, staying above freezing. All right. So we're not worried about any icy roads or anything like that. Again, everything's warm this time of the year. But flurries will be flying. Again, the bigger issue is the wind chill more than anything. So make sure you're dressed appropriately for that. Once we get past that setup, then we got to deal with a cold morning with the freeze warning that is out. It's got freeze watch, but it's a freeze warning that's been upgraded now all the way for Tuesday morning. We'll have some frost around tonight into early on Tuesday. I think it's more of a hard freeze scenario, though, as we head into your Tuesday morning for just about everyone. Again, end of the growing season. There's your lows for Wednesday into the 20s, some cases lower 20s. I haven't seen any data yet that suggests teens for lows on Wednesday. I think the wind may prevent that, but some of you will be close to about 22, maybe even a 21 here and there. So, yeah, really cold. If you haven't turned your furnace on yet, sorry. you will be doing that with this cold wave. So this cold wave lifts out of the area. We have another wave that'll pass through over the weekend because we're going to warm up in the 50s and 60s. This wave is mainly rain, and it's relatively fast. This is more of a zonal kind of flow here. Everything moves pretty quick. The only thing I'm watching once we get beyond that into next week is that we get into what we call a baroclinic type zone setup, where you've got warm air and the cold air kind of battling out. There could be a boundary. This is going to be a little closer to about the 8th or 9th of November. We got time, but I'm trying to figure out where that boundary is going to set up for a rain snow line somewhere potentially in the Ohio Valley. We'll see how that plays out. I need more data on that to make a decision on it. That will likely be included a little more into the official SnowTALK blog on Wednesday there. So let me give you the summary real quick of where we stand. Again, we've got the cold weather in the short term for Halloween and for the first day of November. Then we warm up into the 60s, which will suddenly feel very, very warm. Rain chances there toward the latter half of the weekend. But again, I wouldn't worry too much about it now because it looks fast. All right, this is a fast-moving system, and it's going to be limited on moisture. And then we'll just see how we set up after that on that, what we call, again, a baroclinic zone. We'll see how that sets up in the Ohio Valley on how cool we are, and we'll work on that a bit later. There you go, everyone. And yes, death to the ragweed. Thank goodness, right? Thank goodness. You know, it's really nice to be out in humidity that was like 10 or 14% out in Nevada. My health actually did a lot better out there in Nevada, so that's good. Let's see. What would you say, Lauren? You're cold. You're out in Florida for fall break. Yeah, well, if you're cold now, get ready. Get ready. Les, we got a rain total there, 1.97. Thanks, Les. Appreciate that. All right, guys, try to stay warm. And again, winter forecast tomorrow night for Halloween night. We'll see how things trend the next 24 hours. I'm sure there'll be some more adjustments, but no doubt it will be a chilly Halloween for us there. And it's not the first time we faced that. Have a good one, everyone. I am going to be back on midday with a full update on how things stand there with the radar view and the temperatures, and, of course, the update for Halloween as well. I'll see you then, guys. Take care.